Good afternoon and welcome to Psychological Health's webinar for March. Today we're recognising International Women's Day, and it's my delight to introduce Kate to you. She's going to be speaking on everyday mindfulness. Kate's a registered nurse, she's a counsellor, she's had a long career in health leadership at many hospitals around the state, and she's a director of Psych Health. So she's joining us today. Welcome, Kate.
Thank you, and really lovely to be here with you all. I'm just going to share this presentation and then we'll get started. How's that looking at that end?
That looks great. And look, Kate, can I also just quickly interrupt? We've got some of our psychologists and practitioners attending today as well. So we've got Terry, and we've got Mandy, and we've got Theo, who are all psych health practitioners and attending, and they can take questions at the end of this session.
Fantastic. Well, welcome everyone, and thanks for joining this Psych Health webinar, Everyday Mindfulness to Optimise Mental Health. Just to say that this topic came from you. Psych Health develops its webinar series based on a client survey. So thank you for your input and thank you for suggesting this topic. I'm sure it will be really useful to you. The session is timed in the week of International Women's Day, which we celebrated just this week on Sunday, the 8th of March. International Women's Day celebrates the achievements and the well-being of women, but this session is for everyone. Mindfulness is a human skill, not a gendered one. Throughout this session, we'll explore simple, everyday ways to support your mental health, focus, and resilience. We live in a busy world with lots of competing priorities, so we know how important it is to care for ourselves, and mindfulness is an important tool to keep us mentally fit. I just encourage you throughout the session to use the prompts. It's really helpful for that engagement at our end, and also then it's an opportunity for you to make a comment or ask a question, and we'll monitor that chat and have a bit of an opportunity at the end to look at those and answer those questions. So today's session sits really beautifully within this year's International Women's Day theme, which is Give to Gain. That's the global theme. The idea behind this theme is simple but powerful. When we give support, presence, and care to ourselves and to others, we create space for everyone to thrive. Mindfulness is one of the most meaningful ways we can do that. By giving ourselves even a small moment of awareness, we gain clarity, calm, and resilience. And when we show up with that steadier, more grounded version of ourselves, the people around us benefit too. So in the spirit of Give to Gain, today is about learning simple, everyday mindfulness tools that support your well-being and help create a kinder, more connected workplace for us all. So why are we here? You made this suggestion for this topic, and so I'm sure you've got your reasons for that. And part of that probably is that we live in a busy and mentally noisy world. We're all juggling a lot. Work, family, life admin, the unexpected. Mindfulness gives us a way to slow down the mental traffic and reconnect with ourselves. Today is about practical tools you can use immediately. Nothing complicated, nothing woo-woo, just real strategies for real people. So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is simply paying attention to the present moment on purpose. on purpose without judgment. I'm about to play this video, but I just want to introduce it first. It's not about emptying your mind or becoming a monk. It's about noticing what's happening right now, your thoughts, your body, your surroundings, and giving yourself a moment of space. I'd love to share with you this short video from Dr. Craig Hassett. Craig is an Australian leader in mindfulness and integrative health from Monash University. Craig has spent decades researching how mindfulness affects not just our mood and stress levels, but the brain, the nervous system, and even the body right down to the cellular level. In this clip, he explains in a really simple way how mindfulness works through the whole mind-body system. He does talk about 2016 research because this is when he was really promoting the important research that he had just conducted that really shows the impact of mindfulness. So let's go ahead and watch that video.
My name's Associate Professor Craig Hassett, and I work at Monash University, based originally in the Department of General Practice. Mindfulness is very simple. It has to do with paying attention to the present moment, to our life as it unfolds, but also cultivating an attitude with which we pay attention. Researchers and psychologists start to adapt mindfulness to help people with chronic and relapsing depression. And when those studies start to come out showing major reductions in relapse rates, other people start to take it seriously. And literally on the back of the research, it's just gone up exponentially since the early 2000s, to the point that, say, last year alone, 2016, there were just under 700 new papers published in refereed medical and psychological journals. One of the interesting things and the challenging thing for people to understand is how mindfulness can have profound effects on our physical health. Now, to understand that, we need to understand a little bit about the fight or flight response. So for a short period of time, we're faster, we're stronger, and we'll have more endurance than we normally have. Now, the unfortunate thing is that when we're not mindful, we often activate that response when we don't really need it. So one of the people to really put this on the map, the chronic effect of this overactivation of the response, was McEwen. And he described what he called allostatic load, physiological wear and tear, like flogging the car day in, day out. And that's associated with the poor immune function. We get less defense against coughs, colds, infections. We're more likely to get sick during periods of high stress, but we get more inflammation. The technical terms, immune dysregulation. Metabolic effects, blood pressure, blood glucose, blood lipids are out of whack. It thins our bones. It increases the rate of atherosclerosis, the hardening of the arteries that leads to heart attacks and strokes and so on. If we want to accelerate aging, this is how to do it. But it damages the brain as well. So these stress chemicals day in, day out damage areas that are very important, like the hippocampus, so that's our learning and memory center of the brain, and the prefrontal cortex, so that's working memory and executive function. These are our higher functions. And damaging those areas of the brain is not what we want to do. The effects of this high activation of the stress response and so on, psychological, emotional stress, has even been found to go right down to the DNA of our cells. And so Elizabeth Blackburn, an Australian woman who won the Nobel Prize for Medicine in 2009 for discovering telomeres, she and her team, Elisa Epel, particularly prominent among her team, have found that overactivating this response accelerates the aging process as measured by DNA in terms of telomere length. So we can be about a decade older by middle age if we've got high levels of anger and hostility and stress and so on, compared to somebody who might have the same situation in life but is getting less stressed and reactive over it. The interesting thing is when we practice being more mindful, then it switches off these distracted default circuits. It engages the sensory areas and the attention centers of the brain. And when we're sitting down practicing mindfulness meditation, those centers in our brain are getting a workout. It's like they're going to the gym, right? They're lifting some weights, they're on the treadmill. It starts to have a whole range of positive effects on the health. So we get immune regulation. So better immunity, we're less likely to get sick with coughs, colds, infections, switches off excessive inflammation, takes stress off the cardiovascular system, switches down cortisol, all the damage that it has on the bones. Elizabeth Blackburn and her team have been doing work on that, and a whole series of studies that started, first one published in 2009, that showed that mindfulness switched on the repair enzyme called telomerase, and has been found to slow down the rate of aging down to the DNA of the cells. If that was a drug, that would be a blockbuster drug.
Well, Craig explains it so beautifully. Mindfulness is not just a nice idea. It's a whole body practice that changes how our brain processes stress, how our nervous system responds, and even how our cells function. With that in mind, let's explore how we can bring these benefits into everyday moments at work in ways that are simple, practical, and actually doable. So first, a couple of common myths. Let's bust them. I can't stop thinking, so I can't do mindfulness. I've heard that one a few times. Well, the good news is that mindfulness does not require you to stop thinking. It takes too long. I'm going to show you some effective practices you can do in 30 to 60 seconds. It's not for me. Well, if you can breathe, you can do mindfulness. So myths busted. The science, just recapping on that, mindfulness calms the amygdala, the part of the brain that fires up when we're stressed, and strengthens the prefrontal cortex, which helps us focus and decision making. It supports emotional regulation, communication, and overall well-being. And the best part, you don't need hours. Small, consistent moments makes a difference. All right, we are going to do a quick poll. Let's take a moment to check in with ourselves. Alex is going to launch that poll in just a moment. You'll see it pop up. And just choose the option that best describes how you usually respond when stress hits at work. There's no right or wrong answers. It's just about noticing our patterns. Let's go to that poll.
Now, has everyone seen the little purple box on the top right-hand screen? Just click on that and you've got your poll. I feel like we're going on election night. We've got push through, withdraw, get irritable, lose focus. Push through is clearly winning. 5, 6, withdraw, a couple of withdrawals. I get irritable, but no, look, most people, Kate, are selecting the top option, which is when you feel stressed at work, the usual reaction is just to push through. It's a clear winner at this stage.
Thank you. And thanks for participating in that. It really makes sense, that push through, doesn't it? Because we're in a work environment. There's not always a lot of choice, and not always a lot of choice outside of work as well. We need to push through. And so this is where these tools can really help. It's busy, our mind is feeling chaotic, and mindfulness helps us interrupt these automatic responses. So let's keep moving into that area. Today we're going to explore two little mindfulness, quick mindfulness practices, the 60-second reset and the stop technique. And then we're going to talk about the wider mindfulness tools, the daily mindfulness tools that you have access to, and I'll show you where that is. So let's move on to the first one, which is the 60-second reset. And we're going to do this together. It's one of my favorites, actually, and we can do it with eyes open. You can do it in the lift. You can do it when you're walking on the beach or walking in from the car park. It's a conscious decision to be in the moment. And so let's go through it. We're sitting here on our chair at our desk, and we feel our feet on the floor. We feel where our skin touches our sock or our shoe or the carpet. We feel that on our skin. We take a slow breath, a deep breath. Hold it and breathe out. You can do a number of those. And we notice 3 things that we can see. And look at those 3 things really deeply. 3 things that we can see. And then notice 2 things that you can hear. And finally, notice 1 thing that you can feel. And let's close this reset off with 2 slow breaths. Well, that's a nervous system reset. Perfect between meetings or before a tricky conversation, any time throughout the day. Do it regularly. Do it when you're washing your hands, whenever you think that you've got a moment, and it will really help. That cumulative effect will really help you through the day. Let's move on to the next one, which for those who love an acronym is nice and easy. It's the STOP technique. So stop, take a breath, observe, and proceed. And this one might be better done with eyes closed. It helps you to concentrate and just go through this little technique. So let's go through that. Let's stop. Take a breath. Hold and release. Observe what's happening. Your thoughts, your emotions, your body. Just observe, no judgment. And when you proceed with an intention. Proceed with presence. And that little shift from autopilot to awareness will help you to settle your system and reset for where you're heading next. And you'll be proceeding with intention. All right, those 2 little micro practices, I'm sure you can pick up and do many times a day, and it'll really help you. Let's go on to look at the wider toolkit. So you can build your daily habit with those micro practices that we've just done regularly and to reset through the day. But also there's other tools that you can use, a guided mindfulness, mood tracking, stress tools. And so I'm going to show you where you can access those through Psych Health. This is the Wellbeing app. And we have outlined here a range of ways in which you can access this app, utilize the tools, stay connected, make a booking, write a gratitude journal, all sorts of different ways that you can use this app to help with your well-being. And I must say, I've dived into it pretty regularly and find it really useful. That breathing and counting one that's on that second little image was one I was doing this morning, and very, very helpful. So let me show you the next level in the app. When you go into another page, it's got sleep support. And we know how important sleep is to get us ready for the next day, to rest and recover. And so sleep meditations, calming stories, gentle sounds really help with that sleeping. And the daily reset practices. So it really helps with being that overwhelm and that emotional regulation. Helps with focus and mental clarity. These are longer guided meditations, but not too long, 8 to 10 minutes. Short, accessible practices. So where do you get a hold of the app? To download the app, you either go to Google Play Store or the Apple Store on your smartphone. And you can go to the website, the Psych Health website, and see all of this information. When you're setting up your account in the app, you'll be asked for your email and your company code. And if you don't have the company code with you, you'll see on the website there's this generic code, I5KJGL, all uppercase. And that will give you access immediately, even if you don't have the company code. So remember, this app is totally free and confidential for all Psych Health clients and their employees. So really encourage you to jump on your smartphone now and download it and start to use that. Okay, we're not going to go into this next quiz because we just want to allow some time at the end for discussion and questions. But I come back to this beautiful image that I've shared at the start and on flyers and so on, how the human in this image is mindful, full in his mind, full of things that are happening in their life, worries, and it's going round and around. And even though he's having a walk in the park, he's not mindful and he's not calm. Whereas the dog is right there. He's seeing the trees and the sun, and that's all that's on his mind. He is mindful. And so let's see if we can be a little bit more like that and practice those techniques. Build it over time, and you'll find that every opportunity you will go to these mindfulness techniques and feel the benefits. So thank you. Thank you for coming here today. Thank you for making the suggestion for investing in your wellbeing today, because we all deserve moments of calm. Thanks for that. I'll stop sharing, and we've probably got time for some short questions, but we will then finish the recording.
Sure. Thank you, Kate. I always come away from these things learning something, and I knew about mindfulness and its effect on stress, but I had no idea of its effect on the physical body. And I mean, I've just turned 60, so anything to do with anti-aging, I think, is a great idea. We do have a couple of questions. One real standout in the chat is, how do I deal with the 3 a.m. waking with a buzzing mind?
Yep, I can relate to that. It actually has a physiological reason why it happens. It's to do with melatonin and cortisol, and the cortisol comes from stress. So we go to sleep with our cortisol, high, and our melatonin offsets that until it dips around 3 in the morning. So these tools are really important to continue to use, along with various other sleep hygiene techniques, avoiding screens at night, using calm techniques before you go to bed, perhaps reading a book or doing a little bit of yoga. But in time, that can help with the sleep and the waking at 3 in the morning. I can totally relate. And we should have actually a little bit more of a webinar just on this topic, because I'm sure it's not unique to what people experience.
Thanks for that, Kate. Look, I'd like to thank everyone for attending today. It's always fun to put these webinars on. I hope you've got a lot out of it. This will be recorded, and the recording will be on our website and also circulated through the next monthly newsletter to your companies. So thanks once again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again next month. Bye for now.